I will say, so Anora is my number 2.
You're really going to do that? Really? You're really...
I think Anora is his best.
No, because I know you're going to put it number 1. Oh, man, we're about to get into an argument.
Technically crafted film.
I hope you're ready to edit a long episode.
But my favorite movie of his...
Hold up.
Welcome to the Some Damn Movies podcast. Just a heads up, we don't shy away from spoilers. Here's your warning for the following movies: Tangerine, Red Rocket, The Florida Project, and Anora. Hello, hello, hello. It is that time. This is truly, I would say, the inaugural Sean Baker Glaze Fest here on the Some Damn Movies podcast. We are back again. I am your host, Jared. As always, right next to me, we have my boy, Ian.
How's it going, y'all?
So this is a special thing that we started. This is what our podcast is. This is a learning experience, guys. We are not experts at this film business, okay? But we're just two guys that love movies. And we have fallen in love with a director. I've already sort of fallen in love with this man many, many years ago, and I've been begging for Ian to do it for years, but he finally got on board.
So this is, okay, I want to take this for a race. So we're going to give it, just in case, for some reason, because we're on episode 13 now?
Yes.
Okay. Again, hi, I'm Ian. And just in case this is the first episode you stumble upon on your preferred podcast platform of choice, let me give you a little bit of background. So our first endeavor, crap.
My name is Jared.
Out. No, it wasn't that. I thought I was going to burp into the mic. Crisis avoided. Just like Jared had said, we've been doing kind of a, this podcast is around us watching and enjoying movies because we just love movies. All right. Now, that being said, our sort of, I wouldn't call it a challenge. Our exploration, though, of this year has been we're picking a director and we're trying to go into like a pseudo deep dive of their filmography. We usually try to get something real early, something that was like maybe like the bleeding edge or like their cutting edge for them, like something that broke them through. And then usually their latest hit or their most popular. And then we kind of go off and we've been watching like some stuff in between, right? Depending on what they're feeling, depending on how we feel about and how we're feeling about that watch through. Now, this week, it's a big one, as Jared said. We're on Sean Baker. We chose him for our March episode. And he's been trying to, specifically Jared's been trying to get me to watch. Actually, thinking about it now. Damn, have I not watched? Did it take me until this point to get to like Sean Baker?
The Florida, yes.
You hadn't watched anything. I never watched the Florida Project,
which came out in 2017. And I'm pretty sure I watched it that year.
You did, because I remember you talking about it. But that being said, we are sort of ranking our experiences with these directors as we go. We're ranking their movies as we watch them, and we're discussing that. So we're going to start with Sean Baker this month. You can go back and watch the other episodes if you like. Up until this point, we've done Denis Villeneuve, and then we had an interesting kind of take on David Lynch. From there, we'll just kind of go into it. So I've already kind of taken it, but I'm pretty enthusiastic. I watched all of Sean Baker's, I guess the major discography, which is, I started off with Tangerine. I went to Florida Project. I watched Anora, and then I enjoyed all of them so much that I was like, I stayed up real late last night watching Red Rocket. I was Yeah. And that was the thing. And this is kind of why like we're kind of alluding to this as a Glaze Fest, because I guess kind of spoilers, but we talked about like David Lynch. I bounced off of David Lynch. I don't think I could have bounced off director harder. This isn't anything against him, but I fell asleep during Eraserhead. I've bounced off of Twin Peaks multiple times. His take on Dune, while honestly is like comedically accurate, because I remember him, which to his defense on that one, he kind of got, from what I had like read and watched, he kind of got thrown in to like make this Dune movie back in the day because of Star Wars. They were like, we need a Star Wars, and like, dude, no one's touched Dune, so like, let's do that. It's popular. And I remember there's like an interview of him like having watched it. Like he read the book. It was like, I guess I'm just going to make a movie about it. Like, and he just was very much not out of his depth, but was like completely different than what he would normally do. Right. Like he doesn't strike me as a big sci-fi, like science fiction, like reader. And he likes these more art house kind of like just very surrealist, weird, surreal. Yeah. Right. So it was a very weird take. But I bounced off of him pretty hard, and we'll address that more towards the end of this episode. However, I say that because I enjoyed this entire filmography of Sean Baker's to where I was like, I'm not going to go into some damn movies tomorrow not having watched Red Rocket. Like, I'm 3 out of 4 on the big ones. Like, I'm just going to go bite the bullet and watch this.
Yeah. That was the only one I hadn't watched up until now was Red Rocket.
What was that?
That was the only one I hadn't watched. Yeah.
Oh, so you did watch it.
I did end up watching it. That was the one that I wanted to watch the most because I had recently watched the Florida Project more recently than anything else. And then obviously I saw Anora in theaters. And I had never seen Tangerine. So Tangerine was sort of the first one that I watched. And then I ended up watching Red Rocket. I skipped out on Florida Project this time around. And then I just rewatched Anora last night, as you reminded me, it was on Hulu. So.
Yeah. So I'll start us off on the Sean Baker Glaze Fest because that's what this is going to turn into. It's going to turn into this.
Well, let's do a little tee up though. Let's just sort of discuss his career up to this point. I think.
I'm glad you say that because this is the first point I want to bring up is with Tangerine. And I believe I am on record on this podcast having said that Sean Baker reminds me of like the Duplass brothers, like Mark Duplass and like the Joseph Gordon-Levitt, like just go out there and record. Because we were talking about Tangerine and how Tangerine is recorded entirely on an iPhone 5S.
Yeah.
Like it is entirely.
And it looks like it. I'm sorry. Like it looks like it.
It does. But that being said, to the credit of what I was saying, like, right, like just go out there and do it. But then Tangerine opens up with Duplass Brothers production. And I'm like, I was sitting there. I didn't even know. I was like sitting there on the couch and I'm just like, oh my God.
It was a little rough. So the beginning of Tangerine, I was like, I'm not into it yet because my eyes go straight to where's the depth of field here? Because you can see everything going on in the background because it's shot on an iPhone 5S and you see everything and you just see all these random cuts because obviously they're cutting through dialogue and then you just see like people disappear over time, but it's like there's no time that's changed. But
I actually didn't notice.
You get over it after a while.
So I think maybe, sorry, I'm getting like text messages from like the whole family right now. It's just like randomly going off of my phone. So anyway, how do we tee this up with Sean Baker? So I guess
just say what like all his movies really are surrounded by. He really just tells the stories about basically the day in the life or the week in the life or something of marginalized people. That's kind of his shtick, right?
People with like kind of like a slight emphasis on sex work, right? Even Red
Immigrants
Rocket,
and sex works and stuff like that. Yeah,
like. And it's usually like either like a downtrodden sort of like I don't know if downtrodden's the right word, but definitely disadvantaged or like people that have just like are in like not a great spot, like especially coming off of like Red Rocket being the last one that I watched. And what's his name? Mikey, his whole background, right, is like he's kind of a con man. Like he's like
these
guy.
People that he has in his movies are not like are perfect
they're
people,
surviving.
Right? Like, they're surviving. That's a good way to put it.
They're surviving. Like
they're not good people.
Literally don't have.
But they're human.
It's not that they're not good people. They're doing what they have to do in order to survive, and that's kind of like
I don't know. Mikey was kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah,
he was irredeemable to me.
Yeah, and we'll kind of go into that after we discuss all this, because there was my favorite reviewer that I follow on Letterboxd.
No.
I almost I just for those who don't know, there's a specific person I follow on Letterboxd, and I actually don't have anything. I followed them out of sort of not spite, but out of like kind of like like a rage follow or like an anger follow, because I'm like, I couldn't be more, I guess, opposed to most of their reviews. But then I also find value in that, because whenever I watch, for instance, they gave Anora a 2. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck are we going on? And one of the things that they put in there was because they didn't have like an intimacy coordinator, and they were like bragging about it. I'm like, okay, what? How does that factor in? And then because, Anora drops a couple F-bombs, and they're like, I'm like, okay, so like, I understand it's not like a nice word, but also the situation going on, like it's like emotions are rising. I don't want to go too far into that. I'm just kind of giving the background of like, I might give them like a name so I can like to anonymize them and like kind of talk about it more on here without like trying potentially doxing. But I say this because, I mean, like I would say most of Sean Baker's characters and his stories follow people that are surviving, and it's different types of survival, or at least they all have a dream usually too. Like kind of, you can see where they're trying to pursue something greater than them, and they're just trying to keep their head above water while they're doing it. I think it's always
shot in like a way of like comedy as well, right? Like besides, I would say the Florida Project was more dramatic than the rest of his other movies. Everything else was kind of like slapstick comedy and like over the top. Red
Rocket is 100% like that, probably the most.
And a lot of the characters again are not like the best people, but they're human. He shows that they're human and very charismatic, right? You get attached. Yeah. Even like Mikey from Red Rocket, he was kind of a piece of shit.
He's probably the most irreverent.
Yeah.
That'd be a way of putting it. Like he is a piece of shit. Yeah. Like he is not good.
But he's still like charismatic though. You know those type of people. You grew up with those type of people, right?
He could talk his way. He could sell. Yeah. He could sell like he could sell you oxygen. Yeah. Right. Like kind of like one of those kind of people, right? He is so, and that's kind of a good way of putting it, because I think Tangerine, I'll be honest, Tangerine gave me like Curb Your Enthusiasm vibes. It felt like a Larry David comedy at times.
It was funny. Yeah.
It was funny. Like the way it was shot reminded me of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I almost held this against Sean. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh God. Okay.
It's in a good way. It's not like a bad thing. I almost feel like this could either be his watermark, right? This could either just be his, his like je ne sais quoi kind of, which is also the reason why I have picked our next director accordingly, but. His endings, like his ending, he loves the abrupt ending, which I love him for that. It's like this, it's usually some sort of wide shot or straight on shot. It summarizes what's going on. I don't know. Florida Project.
And that's where you get the humanity though, is right at the end. You get the humanity of all his films right at the end.
In like one lump sum at the very end. And it is nice. I would actually say Florida Project, that's the problem with it, is that it doesn't have that. Like if it would have,
it's just not effective.
If it would have ended in all it, like, I don't know if he was just trying not to do it, but the whole running off into the sunset into Disney World, really doesn't work for me at all in the Florida Project.
It also visually just, and if it would have just stopped.
Yeah, it doesn't hit like some of the music. Yeah. So he had some of his music, and at least in the Florida Project and Tangerine, don't really hit too hard. What I will say though is that if it would have just stopped, with what was the girl's name? It's not like Maddie. I'm about to look it up. I'm just talking so I can fill up dead. I should have had all of them pulled up. Florida Project. If it would have just stopped with Mooney, if it would have stopped with Mooney at the apartment of the other lady, her friend's apartment, and the door was open, and then they were just talking, And then she was just like admitting that, like, I just need somewhere to stay. I just need a family. I'm looking for a family. Like, you're my only friend kind of thing. I kind of see why. Well,
I would have just ended it with her getting taken away at that point, like at the hotel. Just end it there. Like, that is already so dark and scary. And then maybe just have like a shot coming out where it's like,
I think we have to look for you put it very well. It has to be the humanity, right? Like, so the humanity of it all, even though it does follow, what was it? Haley? Was that her mom's name?
The movie actually follows Mooney the entire time.
Yeah, but like her mother is. Yeah, so I'm saying, like, if they would have done it whenever she's getting taken, it would have been kind of more in the perspective of her mom's. So if you try to go at Mooney, I do think going to her friend's house was a good call, because she's just kind of like everything kind of set in for her. Before that, I mean, her mother is an absolute, like, she's a child herself, right? It's like, that's the part where it's like, is she surviving? 100%. Yeah, she's trying to make ends meet. She starts prostituting because she can't make, that was... Okay, I think we need to. I think before we get too far into this, because we're
reset.
Yeah, let's go
back to Tangerine. Let's go to
Tangerine, discuss it, and we'll just do a sequential. There's only 4 movies we're discussing, so we can kind of do that.
So yeah, Tangerine. This one starts basically. It's just the day in the life of a transgender sex worker. It's on Christmas Eve. Basically, they get out from I assume prison, right? That's what they're alluding to, right? They were in prison. They came out, learned that her boyfriend / pimp is cheating on her, and basically it follows her trying to track down the person that they're cheating on, and then all hell breaks loose. That's basically the movie, and it's hilarious and it's funny and it's entertaining.
Yeah, it's kind of a hijinks in a way. It's sort of, because again, it reminded me, Tangerine reminded me so much of a Curb Your Enthusiasm, an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, where it's just like Larry David being this old curmudgeon of a man, going through his day, like saying like it. I wouldn't say it's like slapstick by any means, but some of the scenarios that they encounter are just they're funny. Like, I think, like, I would actually say, I think that Tangerine and the Florida Project, or no, Tangerine and Red Rocket are probably the closest to just outright comedies. Like,
out of the really 4,
out of the 4, these are like the comedies that are happening. Or these are the comedy, like, these are comedic in tone. They do have like a, maybe not with Red Rocket so much, but Tangerine, the ending. So the way it ends, this like cold ending, like, I don't know if you call it the Baker outro, because I don't really know many movies that do it the way that he does it. But the main character, Cindy, she gets hit with some jerk offs, like, drive by and throw piss on her, and a cup of piss, and then her and her friend Alexandra had a falling out, because like the big like climax of this movie is finding out that not only did Cindy's like pimp / boyfriend cheat on her with another woman, but Alexandra, her quote unquote best friend, she slept with her boyfriend while she was gone. So this, like, all this hijinks happens for like an hour and a half, and then like it comes here.
Well, it all starts with Alex too saying what happened. Was that her pimp was like cheating on her, and then she spends the rest of the day trying to find the Dina or whatever her name was. Yeah, Dina. And drags her all around town from the ear pretty much. And they get on the bus and yada, yada, yada. And it ends, with the big twist is that Alexandra is the one that also cheated.
Like, Alexandra was no better, right? And so they have this falling out. So like the last few minutes of it is just like that, like Alexandra trying to talk with Cindy and like explain their situation, which in all of it, right, is like they're just trying to survive, and they are pretty impulsive, most of these characters and whatnot. And it is on Christmas Eve, so Alexandra also like paid to have to sing at a bar, which Cindy was very much like supportive of that and brought Dinah to it as well. Like I would say like Cindy was being a pretty good friend. Even though she is like very like emotional and volatile, both of them, or she definitely was. But at the ending, when Cindy has like piss thrown on her, Alexandra like takes that opportunity to go back there, and they go to a laundromat, and I honestly, you were talking about the depth of field. Like the movie is shot on an iPhone 5S. Honestly, I'm curious to see what this man could do with an iPhone 13 or an iPhone 16. Yeah. I really could, because they've come a long way. And
well, some of the shots look fine once the lighting got better. It's just like the big bright light in the back, like in the morning, just looked like shit. But like some of the nighttime shots, like at the donut shop, look pretty good.
Also, just a slight note, did you realize, I thought it was funny that the owner of the donut shop in Tangerine and the donut is the same one in Red Rocket. I thought it was like a nice little continuation.
Well, also the guy, so the cab driver, there's also like a secondary story in the background. Razmik is this taxi Armenian cab driver who basically you just learn throughout the movie that he gets off from like with the transgender sex workers, and he just wants to get off by like being the one that gives out. And he somehow like turns up throughout the movie here and there. It just pops up. Really, there's not like a super, I don't know if thematically Razmik even matters.
Not really. Well, no, he does, because that's how they meet up at the donut shop, right? Like,
they were always they were already there. Razmik showed up later. It was just like it was just like a side story that they just added in. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know what was important about having his wife come in there and like confront, other than to have him there. Like, maybe there's something we're not picking up.
Chaos.
Who knows?
It could have just been to add chaos to it, like make it like even more chaotic.
Which makes sense, because a lot of these movies can get chaotic.
Yeah. So I'm not sure with that, but I would say like the ending when they go to the laundromat, and then you just have this very human moment of, again, like they don't agree with each other and like they're pissed at each other. But Alexandra ends up giving Cindy her wig. And they just kind of sit there while they wait for her clothes to like get changed. And again, it's just like this very beautiful, like just front like direct shot on both of them sitting in the laundromat, and they don't even say anything. They're just looking at each other like they're grateful to have each other. That's what they're really at.
Yeah, they're in it together no matter what. Like they're in the same situation, and like the humanity is like giving another person like your wig in that type of situation. I'm assuming here as a cis man that's probably super important and super big.
I mean, I could only imagine it being like a big deal to like, because like, right, like that's a gender affirming thing. They're also expensive, bro. If it's like a nice wig like that's just like,
and they're already downtrodden, like
$300. Yeah, they don't really have much. They're just trying to. Yeah, it was just like this offering to like, just like, hey, I'm here for you. I see you. Like, I want to help you kind of moment. Even though we're mad at each other, it was a very touching and wholesome ending to a very, what I thought was like a Larry David-esque comedy shot on an iPhone. And I didn't think I would have it would have such a profound effect on me, which is why I buckled in with Tangerine, because I really like, from this point on, I was like, I'm excited. And then this is where we'll move on to the Florida project, unless you have more to go with Tangerine. Yeah,
I would just say like it started a little, like it took me a minute to get in, because like for me, I think it being shot on iPhone definitely kind of turned me off initially, especially like that first shot.
More of you're definitely more the production guy out of the two of us. I like a good story, and like I actually, like, you bring up some of the shots, I didn't even notice it, like the depth of field, but I could definitely see you. Yeah, it was a little rough for me, jarring you.
But like I can get over it once because Sean Baker has this really good way of getting you to buy in to what he's doing. And the buy-in is pretty quick for me. It became funny quick and I just got over it. And then I just think the writing and the personalities that he has on screen really sucks you in. And also this is like sort of
fantastic characters.
A lot of it's just like
characters.
Yeah. Like the stuff that he shoots is some of the stuff that I just really like. And it's the stuff that I would want to shoot too, is like more of the realistic like world, like this is in our world and you can relate to a lot of these characters despite you maybe being in a hierarchical like different situation than them.
Well, it's also, I don't 100% agree with that. What I would say is just like you see the struggle that these people are going through just to like make ends meet, just to like with the lengths they go to. But also sometimes it's also like you could and the transitioning kind of to the Florida Project, it's like when we say that like, Mooney, like Mooney's mom, like Haley, she could just be a grown up, right? Like she's a child. Like I understand life is hard, but it's like there's always an excuse to why like she can't get a job. Like, it's all this. And hey, I'm not out here saying like it is all peaches and cream trying to get a job. I'm just saying there's a very clear, like she is sort of using the people around her, like the goodwill of people around her. And that's almost enabling her to kind of be a real garbage like kind of human being, because she's just very immature. Like I wouldn't say she's the worst. I still think, well, it's not even a matter of worst. It's just like the depths she goes to like sort of to provide for her and her daughter, and you can see how it's affecting Mooney, and you can see how like. Because the thing is, like, it also is like they're living in a hotel. I'll tell you what, the Florida Project. Here's what the Florida Project's about. I'll go ahead and give you the little spiel from LETTERBOXD. The story of a precocious 6-year-old and her ragtag group of friends whose summer break is filled with childhood wonder, possibility, and a sense of adventure, while the adults around them struggle with hard times. And thinking about it in that lens, accurate, right? I would expect it to be accurate, but this is told from her daughter Mooney's perspective, and you kind of see you know what? Damn, this guy's Sean's on another level, bro. Okay, because if you think about it, like, right, all right, so this story takes place in in Florida.
It's
right outside.
It
of
says
Disney
it's
World.
Kissimmee, Florida, so it's like in a pretty like ghetto part of Florida outside of
right
Disney
outside
World.
of Disney World. And outside of Disney World, right, you have like they're living in a hotel like week to week.
Not hotel, a budget motel, like a week to week type of motel. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. A budget motel, week to week type thing. And it's told from the perspective of Mooney, the daughter. She's 6 years old, and you can really see the juxtaposition between Mooney and how every day is going and her mother and the other adults around here, where they are dealing with very real, very hard times, most of them. And you can see how hard they're kind of trying to work to protect sort of the innocence and just of the children, right? Like there's like, and even when the shitty things are happening, they're still trying to put that veneer, like that parental veneer of like, we'll get you more. Like there's the, in one part, obviously these are week to week budget motels, and one of Mooney's friends, like they have to leave. They can't pay rent in the hotel that the motel that they're staying at. So they're leaving and they don't have enough room to take like all of his toys, the friend's toys. So what ends up happening is like the dad just starts giving them away to the kids. And then he, is reassuring his son, like, we'll give you more. And you could tell like the kid's not like happy about it. Also not happy about leaving their friends. And just kind of like, you see the kids are very like excited to be getting toys, but they're also going to miss their friend. You can see like this kid is not happy about the situation. And you can just see how the father is just trying to like make this work. Like it's a really crappy scenario for them. And that very much happens with Mooney and her mom, because her mom, I would say, is constantly trying to like do a con, right? Like selling perfume, like bootleg perfume. There's parts where she goes and like to get like free like breakfast, like tells them like a fake room number. That was kind of clever. Honestly.
I was talking to Tony about that. I was like, I feel like that is actually real. I think you could easily get away with.
You could probably go into a continental breakfast as long as you don't look too. When have you ever? Yeah. Like, oh, you clearly don't live here. You're
brother.
Clearly not staying here.
If you're in like a touristy area, you just put on like a beach shirt. You can easily get by.
Put a beach shirt on.
Maybe look like you're a little tired, like you just woke up, and you're like, oh God. What a night, am I right?
And then you just wait like 6 months, and then you can probably go do it again. And there's so many hotels around there that you can probably just keep doing it.
No shot that like that's so real. I know you could do that easy.
I feel like let's not try it out, but I think you could definitely get your free breakfast.
We're not even
free. Like she just said a room number. Yeah, she just said her room number to her motel. They just didn't know it was to her motel across the street. So like again, she's kind of like sort of like the tenacious mom who's just trying to make it things, but at the same time, like there is a degree of like, there's an argument for it, because what ends up happening, which is really maybe I didn't pick up on it initially. So there's like these scenes where Mooney is taking a bath. Yeah, it starts off, you don't really know what's going on. You're just like, oh, like she's taking a bath, like she's listening to radio or something cool. What's happening is that like her mom is prostituting over like Craigslist or some shit. And is having them come over, and then she puts Mooney in the bathroom to take a bath, and it's like, don't come out, and then tells the guys like to not go in there. And that was where it was like, oh, this is, because there's a moment where a guy walks into the bathroom to go take a piss, right? He's just like, yeah, I need to go pee. And, realizes there's a kid in the room, and he's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, why is this happening? Like, are you kidding? And then, so there is just like this degree of immaturity, but also it is just kind of like, I think this is just what her mom knows. Like, being a young mother, single, like probably doesn't seem like there's any family involved. She's just trying to survive. Like, that's it. And he does a really good job. And what I was kind of picking up on was like the whole outside of Disney. And we've talked about it a couple of times, but like you brought up the whole, you have like the happiest place on earth. And then you have like these really like terrible thing. Like this, like just like a terrible, like a really I say a terrible situation. It is, they're making it work. But yeah, you have this situation on the outside where like you can never touch like the happiest place. But also you see like, through the child's eyes, you see where it's like kind of could be like Disney World. Like it starts off and like they're just spinning on cars and having a fun time. Like these kids are not necessarily, they are having a fairly fun time. Like it's not like they are being sheltered from like the harder times of what these adults are doing. And it's almost like there is like a family sort of unit in like these motels. Yeah. I think Willem Dafoe is the standout 100%. I think this was the movie to where I'm like, Willem Dafoe, when he passes, I'm going to be really sad. I'm going to be legitimately like, that's going to be a big one for me because he's just such a good actor. I mean, we talked about it, not to get onto this, but we talked about Nosferatu during the Oscars. We've talked about Nosferatu on that Nosferatu episode. And he just consistently shows up and can be. Yeah. I honestly think people say about Daniel Day-Lewis as well. And I don't disagree with that. I think he's a great actor too. I think Willem Dafoe blows him out of the water. I think Willem Dafoe can just play these characters and just like, it's not like he can just play. He plays these characters so well that like, yeah, it's Willem Dafoe just because like, it's him, but like, God damn, he just like gets wrapped up in it. And
I don't know, like this one, I feel like maybe because I haven't connected Willem Dafoe to these type of roles that much, but like he had like such a softness in this one, and like
Yeah.
He just felt so human in this one, which obviously is the Sean Baker effect. But yeah, I agree. I think he really like knocked this role out of the park.
And it's funny that we're
I don't even think he was Willem in this movie. Like, yeah, normally like I'm like, oh, that's Willem looking crazy Nosferatu. Yeah,
that's just like, yeah. That's the thing is like
he's just a manager at the motel.
We're so used to him playing, or at least I'm so used to him playing like these, you know, kind of larger than life, or not. I say larger than life, but just like these very distinct characters that are kind of like they're not normal, right? No. They're not like a typical like a blue collar manager of this week to week motel, right? He's again like in light of Nosferatu, he's playing the occult detective. He's playing these like kind of these personalities that like, you know, are very unique, very, I don't want to say over the top, but I'm thinking about like Boondock Saints when he's playing the detective and then like he was a cross-dressing detective. It's like something so over the top at times that's like, you know, damn, he's killing it because of like the acting that goes into it, the skill that goes into conveying these characters or like to portray these characters. And then you have him playing a like this soft-hearted blue-collar dad, and I'm like, dude, this sealed the deal. He can do anything, which would probably be the easier role to play. Mm-hmm. He executes it so well. The scene with the PDF file, that was like,
oh yeah, holy
shit. That was a very tense scene, and he like conveys it so well. He just does everything. And that's where I'm like, damn, I was just on it. Again, the only complaint I have about the Florida Project is the ending. I'm going to give you the floor on the Florida Project and say your thing because I've just been rambling about it.
I mean, first, like, yeah, we were just hyping up Willem, but let's really give credit to like that little girl. I think she crushed it. I think she was super believable. It didn't seem like she was like reading lines and was like a little actress or something like that. I think she really pulled it off. And I think as a director, this was super difficult to tell a movie through the lens of a child and a child actor in this case. Cause like we've seen a lot of child's performances and they can be a little rough.
Yeah. Don't remind me of fucking.
But I think just Boyhood. As even the crew, like even her friends and stuff, like it really seemed like it was a group of little kids just playing and having these like crazy imagination and just trying to figure it out. And I think that's also why I like, really connect to this movie the most out of all the Sean Baker films, because the humanity in this one, I feel like is the most one that I connect with the most, just because I think for me, my ideology in real life is that I do truly care about these type of issues the most. Sort of obviously like poverty, impoverished areas and stuff like that. And sort of I think just that contrast, it being so close to like Disney World, but then seeing the juxtaposition of like this downtrodden, like crazy impoverished area, but then like people are just resilient and they're trying to push through. They're not really like, they don't really complain that much, right? Like
they do find like a silver lining or like
everything is about
sort
that. And it's just like, even though like her mom was kind of like a piece of shit, like you can tell like she still loved her daughter. It's just she had a tough out,
an immature kid.
Yeah, she's making bad decisions, but those bad decisions at the end of the day was maybe selfish, but also at the same time you can tell that it was to help in any sort of way to take care of Mooney. And I just think the commentary in this one, and I think I like the visual language of this movie the most too out of all the Sean Baker movies. I like the comedic value in all the other ones, but this one I felt like had the most heart to me.
And I like what you bring up about the visual language, because I think that I do agree with that. I think you can see a lot more and kind of a lot more is conveyed through like visually than like Red Rocket has some, like all of them. I feel like most movies have it, right? But this is where, again, like just the placement of like in a like a downtrodden,
and even like just like the color language in this movie too is much different than his other ones.
Which one?
Just the language that he does with like just the color of the film too is a little bit different. It kind of reminds me a little bit like Tangerine, but I feel like Tangerine didn't go too far into that. This one,
I don't think he could also with Tangerine. Like it'd be very hard to try to do that with just an iPhone and trying to be bare bones with it, I feel.
And here you can again see sort of it's like the next step up from Tangerine, right? It's like you can tell there's still like little bits and pieces that he takes from this movie. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in Red Rocket as well as in Nora, that there's pieces and pieces that he takes. And it's almost like an equation. Every time it's like Tangerine plus Florida Project plus this equals that. And like, I don't know, this one, since the first time I watched it in 2017, I just always really connected to it. And I think it's because I've grown up in these type of areas. I've never I've been on the spectrum of these type of areas. And like,
we've had single moms that are just trying to get by.
Single moms.
Luckily they pulled through, but like,
luckily we've never had to like live in like these crazy like motels and stuff. So, but we're on a different spectrum of it. So we sort of understand. And like, even like the scenes of like having to hear her, potentially her mom like have sex in the other room while music's going on and stuff like that. Like, so I've had to experience that as a child, and like fighting in the other room and stuff like that. And it's a lot. But yeah, this one, I'll say it at the end, but this one I like a lot.
All right. So we'll just go on to Red Rocket next. You want to intro us into Red Rocket?
Yeah, so
if you want.
Yeah, so just like always, I mean, another marginalized like character, which in this case is a male. Well,
this one's
a male porn star.
A little different. I wouldn't say it's weird to say marginalized. I think the community he comes from was definitely okay. I think giving the letterbox to like boilerplate is kind of nice to start these off with. So here's Red Rocket.
Yeah, what is this one?
Finding himself down and out in Los Angeles, former porn star Mikey Saber decides to crawl back to his hometown of Texas City, Texas, where his estranged wife and mother-in-law are living. Just as the dysfunctional family seems to be making things work, Mikey meets a young woman named Strawberry working at the cash register at a local donut shop. I'm glad you brought that up because that was the first part that like really messed with me. Was that like... Yeah.
It is the difficult part of this film because like at the same time, is it legal in this area? 17?
He was acting like it. Like he was like, she was 3 weeks away and he was viewing her more as an investment. So let's go into this. So Mikey, like I said, he was a porn star, seemed like he was a pretty successful one until he, because of his nature of being a charismatic piece of garbage, burnt probably every bridge he had in Los Angeles and came crawling back to Texas for what in his mind was just trying to find the next, like his way of getting out.
Well, his entire talking in the beginning of the movie and throughout until he meets Strawberry
is always a story.
It's always a story and like him wanting to just like come back and like be with his ex-wife and try to make it work again and yada yada yada. He never really like
was talking to Lonnie. I don't think. I think he was like talking to Lonnie and
Lonnie. He just wanted to be cool around. He just wanted to be the cool guy. Yeah.
Like he was shaping stories to fit his narrative to get where he needed to go. That was his biggest thing.
And it's also important to know his ex-wife was his old porn partner as well.
I didn't pick up on that until like I picked up on it. Yeah, way too long into the movie until they were like, oh yeah, like she did porn because like I guess they were like they got popular like doing porn together
and they moved out to LA after that.
Oh, did they move out to LA? Okay, I thought he just moved out to LA.
Well, she explains, or he explains.
No, he does. He explains it to Lonnie, saying that like it was him and
another
Lexi,
porn
and
actor.
then someone, and then another porn actor like got
him for like,
Lexi
like 10, 15 grand or something,
$10,000 or something, and then she was doing like heroin or some shit, and then like had to come back, and then he was like, "Look, if she just would have stayed with me, like she would have been fine." Yeah, I didn't, and that was I think the moment I put that together was when he was giving that like explanation. So like
it seems like throughout the entire movie it's just like you're kind of on his side a little, like he's charismatic enough where you're like, is he gonna turn this around ever? Like is he ever not gonna fucking lie? Is he ever not gonna be a piece of shit? But he never does.
Yeah, I think I think the whole time I was just thinking like, is he gonna get away with it? Like every time I'm like, is he really pulling this one? Is he really doing it? So I'll start with the things that stuck out to me in this movie. Damn if Panavision doesn't look fucking good, dude. That's what I gotta say. Like that, I know that's that we were talking about Euphoria, I think a few episodes ago, where I was like, oh, like Euphoria, like, they're using freaking Panavision on a fucking show, and it's like they don't make it anymore. Yeah, it's so hard. I think it's fucking stupid to use it on Euphoria, personally. I mean, if it's a look you're going for, that's fine. But I think Euphoria is fun to watch, but it's like kind of overhyped. Am I saying it's kind of a waste of this film if it is a scarce resource? Yeah, I am. Because the thing is like something like the Photo Project, it really just fits the theme, right? It fits like this. It looks a little older. It's a little grittier. And also the way the color pops. Holy shit. The color in this movie is what I like walked away with the most. Like that, like just... I think if we're talking about like the visual language of this movie, it is bright until it's not. Like there is a veneer. Actually, no, I'll go farther now. Thinking about it now. It is Mikey is always spewing a story to make things look better than what they are. He always has a reason and an excuse. So kind of seeing the way that he used color, like especially when he was talking about Strawberry and Strawberry's house, especially the ending, it always had like these nice pastels, these bright, they popped like whenever he was looking at and talking about these things, like they were like the better parts of like in his mind, like the parts that are going to get him through, I guess, like the better parts of the story, the happier parts. But it was almost thinking about it now, it's kind of like a way of the way it was used was sort of and maybe I'm overthinking this, bro. I don't know. I could be. But like you start looking at like his house and like where he's living and it's like, it's shitty. It's a dump. Like it doesn't look that great. He puts a new ashtray down. It looks a little bit better, but everything looks shitty. And you know, as he's going through the town and stuff, it's like you can kind of see like everything he's interacting with is like a little bit brighter, a little bit like the color pops a little bit more. I liked that. I thought that was very cool. That's what stood out to me in this movie, like especially, or it was like a cut above the rest.
Yeah, he definitely got a lot of good shots out of like, I guess this like shitty little Texas town that like there were a lot of beautiful shots. And one thing I did want to really also compliment, I think Sean Baker has pacing on lock.
Yeah.
My Lord.
No, thinking about it now, he also, no, I kind of agree. Go on, but like I definitely think I'm picking up what you're putting down. I didn't think
like,
of it that way.
These are all like 2-hour movies. They're about 2-hour movies, and they don't feel like 2 hours to me. they feel like they're like an hour and a half. I'll caveat. I don't want to go into Anora quite yet, but we'll call him the reviewer I was talking about that I don't want to name because I don't want to like dox or anything. But I do enjoy their reviews because I usually, to go more into why I enjoy these reviews is because like, do I oppose most of their reviews? Sure, but there are some points where I'm like, oh, like it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, I kind of agree with what they're putting down here. They actually said in Anora, one of their complaints, which I actually think is valid, is that the search for Vani took too long. Meaning like it kind of spun its wheels. We'll go into more on that with Anora. I think it's the only part in all these movies I could think where I was like, I wish this would kind of like speed up a little bit. I think we could have probably condensed this down to add something else in here, but we'll go into that with Anora. Let's keep going with this. But yeah, so this one, I guess, particularly Red Rocket for sure, I thought was paced beautifully. Like basically it was like anytime like there was just a new like, okay, next day or like next event, it was just boom, 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 boom. And it was like, he was just like, it was either him on foot or him on his bike or whatever. Like,
well, it's also capturing his hustle too.
Yeah.
It was,
I mean, he's a fucking loser.
He's a businessman. What?
He's a loser.
No, so he's a loser, yes, but I think he has that hustle, not even a hustle mindset. He has a plan and he's trying to get it to work. So like,
you think he has a plan at all ever?
Strawberry was a plan. Strawberry. So what we were talking about that's really weird.
I think Strawberry was a hope, not a plan.
Yeah, maybe it was a hope. I guess you're right, but I think his whole thing was that was his golden goose. He was like, this is my new Lexi, and I'm going to get rich off of her. This is my ticket, my meal ticket back into LA. That's what I think he was thinking. And then he was trying to do anything he could to like snag her up and trying to like push that forward. I did think it was weird. I want to bring this up. So he was paying Lexi and Lil's rent, right? Like he was being like because when they stole the money at the end, again, spoilers for all this. You should have had a spoiler warning before it. But when he gets robbed, right, by
the people he's selling from, basically.
Yeah, what's he, Leandria?
Yeah.
When her like kids come over and rob him, I'm like, well, one, he made a bad choice by telling them that he's leaving. He should have probably just like left. But two, was he not paying Leandria? Okay, so for everyone who doesn't know, he started selling weed
very quickly
to make money. Very quickly, he knew his connect. He's like, I'm just going to go sell weed to make cash.
He tried to find some jobs, right?
He was doing a really good job. I mean,
those montages were funny.
those were, and the only thing I could think that Leandria was upset about was that he was selling to the hard hats, the construction workers, which I guess I didn't hear her define that rule, but like, is that why she took the, because I thought he was like paying for the weed and then selling it. Like, I don't know. I think
that's what his thought was. And that's what you think. That's his perception, is that it's because he was selling to the unionized hard hats. But really it's because they all know he's a piece of shit and he's a flake, and that just because he saved $3,000, that money wasn't going to go to them. And I think there is like this connected. No,
but I thought he had already paid for it. Like, I thought he had already paid.
No, he probably was already like paying for rent for the house and around the house, but
he was paying for rent for the house. Yeah.
But I think it was truly Leandria was friends with the mom and
it did seem like they were all friendly with
it just seemed like it was a small community anyways, and they were all like together in some way. So,
and he definitely left on bad terms with most of them,
and I think she explains that anyways at the end of the movie. She's just like, I did this for Lil, not like I don't.
That I think I was missing, because I stayed up pretty late, so I was kind of falling asleep a little bit. I had to I knocked back 2 teas and was like pacing around to like kind of keep up, because I wake up early, I stay up late so I can do dad things, meaning like mostly watch movies and work on the video endeavors or just like whatever grind I'm working on. So when I'm watching that, I was like, this seems weird. Like, I thought he was like paying the rent and paying for paid off all this stuff. Like, we're just because like, or we're just robbing him to rob him. But maybe I missed that. And
my idea when I was watching this movie, especially at the end, I'm like, oh, it's probably because he's just done this a million times.
Yeah, I think he's just a piece of garbage.
They know who he is. They let him go through his like motions. He's gonna have to do basically a reset, like.
And he'll come back and do it again.
Because he's already trying to leave, and he's only literally like this movie. Has it been a month? Yeah,
it's a month, because it's 3 weeks until Strawberry turns 18, and a week before that he says it's been a great month. Like, it's been fun when he reveals that he's leaving.
I don't know about you, I feel like it honestly feels like it's longer than a month within the movie. Like, I'm like,
he just does a lot. Like, he's like, there's a lot going on in this month. And also that jackknife accident, well, I did not expect that shit at all.
Yeah. Also, something I don't know if you've picked up in all these movies, like nothing truly bad happens. Really, like no one dies.
I think a couple people died. That was a huge freaking accident. So maybe not the characters.
I guess I didn't mean that. Yeah. I meant like the characters you see on screen. Like in Anora, you can like, it's the Russian mob basically. No one dies.
Yeah,
and like no one really gets. No one gets hurt.
You don't want to get caught up on it. Yeah. Like, you don't want to get caught up on like people dying, like this real dramatic thing. It's just like, it's almost like in this one, it was just sort of the. Well, in this for him,
but I didn't forget about the collision.
The collision was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, and this ends. I think it has a really cool ending too, where it's just like this otherworldly kind of like Strawberry like walks out of her house at like 18 in a bikini, and like he's just staring at her, and like he's like, that is, my meal to get out of here, like we're gonna do it. Or he's just trying to hope,
was that real or was that an imagination?
Well, he was probably it was
he was just running.
Like that's
she
just
lived
like his
kind of far
perspective.
away.
Again, back on like the visual cues and the visual like storytelling. Everything that like he has made up in his mind around Strawberry always has this nice pastel kind of, font or not font, this nice pastel veneer to it, making it look like, very hopeful, very like optimistic.
You want to talk about Lonnie doing the worst thing possible? I guess you as a Navy boy.
That was weird. Yeah. What was he
pretending
even doing
to be an Army veteran, dude?
Yeah, but what was he trying? Yeah, it was just like all of his shit looked fucked up. But what was his con? Like that's why
he just wanted to sell flags, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, he was just trying to hustle,
shit, dude.
I think that's all it was.
Like,
that's stolen valor, there, buddy.
I don't give a fuck, dude. Like, is it not cool? Yeah, it's not cool. But like, also, especially in the context of these movies, like, life sucks. You're just trying to make a buck. Like, I won't say shit. Do you think
he put that scene in there just to tell you this is in Texas? Because then you also see footage of like when Lil and Lexi are at home. They're watching like the election going on between Trump and Hillary.
Yeah.
So,
I think for me, like, I don't really give a shit about that. Like I said, people are out here grinding. Like if you got to make a buck, you got to make a buck. I'm not going to stop you. Like there are many things to probably get a citation for. I think the whole stolen valor one, I didn't give a fuck. I was like, all right,
okay,
like,
Private
if
Bailey.
someone else is going to do something about it, I probably wouldn't, unless it was like something crazy. I'd probably, but like, I'm not going to stop. I don't give a fuck. Like,
as a child of a man in the Air Force, I can also say that I'm in the military now.
You could be.
I'm adjacent.
I mean, yeah, you're military. You're in the military family.
Yeah, baby.
So I think that's where, as far as Red Rocket, I thought it was fun. I think it's definitely more of a straight comedy than
definitely.
It was
funny.
It didn't have that like impactful, humanizing like.
Well, I was just thinking as you
like,
brought up the car crash. Would you say was that the humanizing point in a sense that like?
Not really. I think I don't think there was ever real humanizing.
Does that dehumanizes him more?
Yeah, I would say almost dehumanizing. He's rooting for. He doesn't give a fuck what happens to Lonnie. He's just hoping he doesn't get caught up in it.
So this is really a flip of the Sean Baker script. He finally gives us something different.
I would actually say his protagonist or his main point of view character is not like the most relatable. Is not very. Yeah, he's just not very like. I mean, I wasn't rooting for Mikey. I will say I just thought he got kind of cheated, but I also just realized that like. He cheats everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's cheating everyone out of this. Like he has made people's lives worse. And that's why he also got sent out from, he burned every bridge in Los Angeles, right? Like no one wanted to work with him. Like it's because he's a con man. He always has something. And that's why he had to come back and find a 17-year-old child to wait to turn 18 and try to do it all over again, selling pornography. Which is also fine. Nothing against that. It's just very scummy how it's like it was grooming, dude. And I'll tell you what, on Sean Baker's point with that, you got some fucking balls, dude, to like bring in like a storyline like that. That is like talk about contentious. Like that is like I was even watching. I was like, oh, we're going this way. We're doing this. Like we're gonna have a minor kind of like because I think they have intercourse prior to her turning 18.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure they did. Like I didn't confirm. I was like,
I mean, they at least did things that were physical.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Obviously, it's not actually that, but I'm saying like the portrayal. I'm like, you have to have some cojones to portray that. Like that's not something that people would really. Very few would like go and do that, but I mean, it serves the story though. That's the important part, right? Is that it serves the story. The fact that like Mikey is a piece of garbage that found a vulnerable youth, which she was like mature for her age, sure, whatever. She was like, meaning like she also like had like her parents her mom just wasn't really didn't seem like she was like really around all that much. Kind of gave her like the reign of the house, but like, yeah, she's kind of a pistol, Yeah. So I think I'm good on Red Rocket. I think Red Rocket is like probably it's good. It's definitely more of the comedy though. It's like the more straight-laced comedy, if I'm going to say, of all of them. all of them have a comedic tinge. And this brings us to the movie of the episode. Sorry about that.
Yeah, let's get back to it. Yeah. Pee break.
So we are post pee break, and now we are at the movie of the episode, the one we've been wanting to talk about.
Best Picture 2025.
Best Picture 2025, Anora.
Palme d'Or from last year, which is like the big Cannes Film Festival award. So it won a lot last year and this year, guys.
So, damn, there was something I want to say. Oh, yeah. But before we get into that, I just want to say, are you subscribed? Have you liked this video or podcast? Have you ever heard of Some Damn Movies before? Have you heard of Some Damn Channel? If not, here's what we need you to do. First, if you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what your thoughts on Sean Baker are, okay? If you're on like Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform, we only accept 5 out of 5 star ratings. Anything lower is fine. Just let us know what we can do to improve, so you can change your score down the road, right? There's no reason putting a 1-star review if you're not going to tell me what makes it better, right? How can this podcast improve? Also, we put out this mostly on Some Damn Channel. We put out Some Damn Movies and Some Damn Sundays, 2 podcasts. We're working on some other things, but life gets pretty busy for us. I know I have my personal channel where I'm doing like book reviews. So I'm kind of keeping that over there, and I'm trying to work on some video game stuff for Some Damn Channel whenever I get a chance. But these are the consistent things you'll be getting. Jared also has some stuff that he works on too, along with this podcast. So, just do the things, support it. We're not charging you money for it. Just a little bit of some opinions, just let us know what you think. And without further ado, Anora, the review by the Some Damn Movies boys. Yeah, this movie fucking rules, dude. I mean, it was great.
It does. I don't know about you. Like, when I was rewatching his other movies, I was like, holy shit. All these other movies is this plus this plus this equals this movie.
100%.
He has learned everything up until now, and this is what he creates.
And put it into Anora. And now I'm so curious as to what his next movie shot on iPhone 16 Plus is going to be. Right, like that's the next step. Is like you bring the iPhone back, and then you try to do it all over again with what you've learned. Like he is really he's distilled the best parts of his other projects and put it in here. I would actually even say Anora is probably the most digestible of all of them.
It is definitely the most mainstream. I think
it's the most like. Like when we say mainstream, but like it's very streamlined. Like again, my only complaint about the pacing was just like I could not complain, but I understand where like it kind of felt like searching for Vonnie took a little too long. I kind of just wanted to be there. Yeah. Like why? I don't think we needed some of those like stops.
Yeah. I think rewatching last night, I could agree with it. Probably overstayed its welcome just a touch. I wasn't mad about it.
Did we have to go to every friend? Honestly. Yeah. So that's I was like, cause he went to like every one of their friends, which makes sense logically.
But do you need to go to every strip club?
Do we need to go to every one of them? Like, do we need to go to every strip club and like ask for him? Like, we could have probably just sped up to, the friends seeing Vonnie in HQ and then just going straight there, right? We could have probably shaved off 10 to 20, probably like 20 to 30 minutes off the movie doing that. That being said, that's just a very minor complaint. I liked everything else like tenfold. And I would say that, this is just like the most normal, like plotted movie. Like it's just very straightforward. Like I wouldn't necessarily recommend Tangerine or maybe even Florida Project to like a casual viewer of films. I'm not trying to make fun, but like my dad would not like Tangerine. He might like Red Rocket, but he probably wouldn't really be. I mean, he's a very casual viewer of movies. He likes Marvel movies mostly or war movies. I don't even think he would necessarily like Anora. But I think he would be able to follow Anora. Like we're talking about, like my dad had a problem. Well, this is valid. He had a problem with like Rogue One because he was just like, where is this movie going? Like, what are we doing at this point? Right.
We know where it's going because the story is already known.
Shut up. Fuck you. We're not getting into that on this episode, but
you brought it up. We made a rule.
I'm saying something that's like pretty straightforward. He doesn't like follow. This feels like a pretty traditional movie. Like you can grasp into it. So we're going to start off with the boilerplate. Anora, love is a hustle. Anora, a young sex worker from Brooklyn, gets her chance at a Cinderella story when she meets and impulsively marries the son of an oligarch. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as the parents set out to New York to get the marriage annulled.
I think this one is a little funny because they call her a sex worker, but in the movie, she does not like to be called that because she is a stripper / exotic dancer. Even though he does pay for sex, every time they ever call her a hooker or a whore, she gets offended, which is a big theme of the movie anyways.
But I think here they're trying to legitimize it. I think calling someone a sex worker is not, maybe there is a negative connotation, but Sean Baker up to this point in his filmography has shown an interest, but has definitely incorporated sex work into literally every one of these films. And I think he does kind of want to legitimize or take some of the negative connotations surrounding sex work. So I could see her, like, why Anora probably doesn't want to be called like a whore or, a prostitute. Those are very derogative.
I would argue it was because one of the big themes of the movie is the hierarchical like structure. She thinks that she could still be above that because she's a stripper versus like the family are these mob bosses that are over her. So she feels not powerful. So being called a hooker in her case means that like that's beneath her. Well, and I think like that's one of the thematics of the films is that of that sort of hierarchical structure that just she's a stripper, but below her would be a sex worker and below them would be something else.
I think that's more across like I think that's a societal view, not just because they're Russian mob bosses, but because or oligarchs, but just in general that like people look down on sex work.
Yeah.
I think even people, and I think being a stripper and exotic dancer, I mean, sometimes they even have like a thought about that too, right? But they'll say like, oh yeah, I'm like a bottle service lady or something like that. But I do think he's trying, I think Sean, and like, I think his goal usually is to, have is trying to like tell this. I say tell the stories. I don't think that's the right thing, but I think he's just trying to, legitimize it a little bit, showing like that it's, especially in this movie where he's, well, I think it might be a little off on that. I think the big thing for me is right. Lost my train of thought on.
Well, I would say the line that I like from like the Letterboxd one was "Love is a hustle," which a lot of this movie is because love for her is transactional. She's a stripper, so everything is transactional for her. I'm glad you said that. So the love that she has with Vanya, in a sense, is also transactional because realistically, she's just trying to get the fuck out of her life.
I was going to say, does she even the whole time? You're like, okay. So the thing is, like the initial selling point of this movie, if I were to just when you read this, is like, oh, so she obviously doesn't care about Vanya. Mm-hmm. But then you like watch it and you're like, okay, she might care about him, but like, what does she care about?
She doesn't.
Yeah, it was always a means to an end, right? But I think she did. I think she had fun with him. I think she was fine with spending the rest of her days with him, especially in this lap of luxury. But it wasn't for him. It was for the money. It was for getting out of the hustle and having to do what she was doing. And yeah, like, I don't know. I think watching this, I also thought like, man, Mikey Madison, one, I do want to say that like having Mikey Madison and Margaret Qualley in the Oscars this year was pretty cool. Well, no, Margaret Qualley wasn't up for Best Supporting, was she?
No.
I was just thinking because they were both on I think they already brought up, but like Quentin Tarantino, holy shit. What was the Quentin Tarantino movie they were both in? Hollywood.
Oh, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool to see both of them coming from like a tier, because that was fairly recent, last 6 years, like 2021, 2022, 2021 ish. So seeing them both kind of like, well, at least they were both in movies that got recognized and they were a lead role. That being said, I think Mikey Madison acted the fuck out of this. Like I actually think she crushed this role.
Yeah.
I initially thought, I was like, all right, like it's not like, it doesn't seem like it's too out there being a sex worker in
Brooklyn,
in New York, kind of doing this, but I stand corrected.
She crushed it.
She fucking crushed that.
Yeah. I mean, she looked sexy and like alluring. Like it was believable. Like she had the accent down. She learned Russian to make that believable. She had like some of those like moves that she was doing like in the beginning like montage of them, like essentially the first like 30-45 minutes is the montage a little bit of like her day in the life of like a stripper was really interesting to me. Because it like gives you this like really like upbeat view of it. They show you tits right away. You get it out of the way. It's gonna be sexy throughout just to like, hey, like just rip the Band-Aid off. Yeah, just get it out of the way. I mean, what a movie for her parents to maybe see, in her biggest role yet is to see her naked and grinding up on men at the beginning of like the first minute of the movie.
Plowed out like just straight up, just like watching. I mean, obviously, like again, it's like the big difference between pornography is the reason why you're consuming it, and also like, I think the original definition of like pornography was just to be like without art, right? Like, it was just like scurrilous, and so.
But yeah, you go through this montage. Was
obviously not her just getting railed out for the sake of getting railed out.
But yeah, so it's like the day in the life of a stripper and yada, 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 and gets to the point where she goes back home. So you understand early on, like this is her life. It's not perfect. It's like late nights. You have to fucking hustle the entire night. It's men after men after men, gross ass bullshit. Having to like do drugs and shit like that. I mean, like just them always vaping all the time was hilarious to me. The relationship like she has with her like coworkers is great and like believable and like genuine to me. I think all that stuff really worked in the beginning of the movie. I thought all that was great.
Yeah, I think there were just a lot of great performances. I watched this actually with Jess, and she even said like whenever Vanya runs away, which for anyone who is wondering, that is his name is Ivan. They call him Vanya, but that's the son that she marries. The thugs that
the henchmen or whatever,
the henchmen. She was hilarious, dude. That's the thing, is like part of it is like, do I think it drags a little bit in the middle? Yeah, a little bit. I also really liked the characters. Like Igor was a lot of fun. Toros was fun. Who else was it? Garnick. Like they were the four of them. Like those, all of them together was a really fun montage. That's why I do say like, yeah, you could probably tighten it up and have it get to Ivan faster. I didn't hate the ride or anything. I still liked the ride. It's just like you probably could have cut it out and gotten, because it does, I think, overstay its welcome in parts.
Yeah, you could probably cut a scene out and it would be perfectly fine.
Yeah, you could probably tighten it up a little bit in there because other than that, though, I don't even think I would hold it against the pacing on this. I still think it's paced really well. It's just, I think you could have we're talking about in my opinion, this is like trying to take it from like maybe like an A, maybe a high B A-ish territory and bringing it into like S tier for pacing. If I were to rate it on that level, like you cut it out a little bit and you would almost perfect it, I think. But at the same time, I think if you make that sacrifice to give some more comedic relief, to give it some more, just to give it to a little bit more depth for the characters and like more time for them to like talk. Cause right. Like you don't really want to, I think about that now. Like that's where a lot of Igor and Anora kind of have their moments, and, or like you start to see them interact a little bit. And I think that was probably necessary for that reason. So,
well, this is what I mean though about like the hierarchical structure in the movie, because they were all underlings, right? They were all henchmen. Yeah. Everyone's below these Russian people that they're afraid of, right? Because I picked up a little bit more the second watch where like, if you remember when they go to that like Las Vegas hotel, the guy that like meets them,
the maitre d',
he's fucking. You can tell he's like kind of terrified that like the shit's not ready. That like their hotels are
like how much money they spend. Yeah. Like,
but I mean, also it's probably because I'm assuming that there's some danger that they're not ever.
I don't think there's danger. I mean,
they're not over explaining
an oligarch. I mean, just means being an oligarch doesn't mean you're
maybe not physical danger, but there's some danger being. I mean, presented.
Fiduciary, like like you could definitely lose money, but like his mom was also a famous, like I think they said like a designer, like a fashion designer or something. So like they were both very well off.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think they were just worried because like you don't want a Russian oligarch's going to spend a lot of money. Like this kid will spend a lot of money and you will lose your job if this guy decides to not stay at your hotel, because that is like the lawyer too, right? If you like when Toros was like, you will get this annulled, like you will get this judge here, like it's like because they spend a lot of money. I don't think it was ever like physical. I think it was just like they want their business. But yeah, I think with Anora, I want to like take that I don't know, the Baker outro. I'm going to call it the Baker outro until we to discuss the next director I want to suggest. But
do we want to talk about that yet, or do we want to talk a little bit about more of the meat of the movie?
I'll let you take it over. Yeah. I think I need a little bit of direction.
Well, so like, okay, so structurally the movie starts out with like essentially this big lavish, like you see all the happiness, right? Of like falling in love, quotes. But yeah, so she's a stripper, goes throughout the day, yada, yada, yada. She essentially meets Vanya at the strip club. You learn that she knows Russian. So she basically gets picked to go hang out with him because he has like a private area, because obviously he's very rich.
And he spends a lot of money. Yeah.
Spends a lot of money. So since she speaks Russian, she gets chosen to go up there and hang out. And then you learn a little bit, like little tidbits of like she learned it from her grandma and stuff like that she never learned English. So, and basically since from there, it's just like going to parties. He hires her for like a week to be his girlfriend, just to hang out with friends and just party, live it up, smash cheeks constantly, just get plowed down all the time. And you can kind of see a little bit like they're falling in love, but it really is just like, you can just tell that it's more of the lifestyle that she's getting into. Because anytime that they do real shit of him just like sitting on the couch playing video games, she looks fucking miserable and she doesn't want to be there. So it's all that. And basically it flips once they go to Vegas, they get married, have a great time. So again, it's like this upbeat like montage of like happiness, but then it like flips right there where they're like back at home in the mansion trying to be like husband and wife. And then essentially the parents sort of hear rumors that they got married, but you then learn the new like characters. So you have Toros, who again is the actor from Tangerine, who played the cab driver. He's like the middleman, who is hired by the father. He's essentially
Ivan's handler. Yeah, like he is there to make sure Ivan. And he's also like stupid shit, like a
priest or something, like a person of the church.
Yeah, I don't think he was the priest. He wasn't the priest. No. He's affiliated with the church. Yeah. So that whole thing was, that was his like
day job.
No. I think that was just it was a baptism for his family. That's why he was a big deal when he left. Like his full-time job is doing handler shit, but like that was a moment where he was like, I cannot miss this. And it was like his it was like his nephew or
right there that you also get like how serious it is to fuck with these oligarchs. Like,
well, it's like they're always like, so it's because like, right. Like we're kind of talking about, you bring up the point of like service workers where it's like everyone was at the whim of these Russian oligarchs. Like it's very this classist kind of look where like, not classist, but like where they're looking and seeing how everyone else below them is putting life on hold. Because that was when his mom called Toros I was like, you will go fucking fix this. We will be there by noon tomorrow. Cause like that apparently brought like a ton of shame onto the family in Russia. So they're like, we are fixing this shit now.
And this is why I remember early too, that they always call her hooker or that whore or whatever.
Yeah. To degrade her. Absolutely.
Furthermore like again, because the rest of like the henchmen are all sort of nice to her in a way, or they tried to be. Yeah. They're just trying to get their job done.
They're just trying to get the job done. Like they're literally just trying to find the solution. They hold back completely, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. So I think the story is told really well. I think the pacing to the point is like on par. I think that like once they meet Ivan, that whole like the annulment to like the ending, I think is done really well. I love the interactions whenever like she's just calling him like a little pussy the whole time, like when they're getting and like just bad mouthing, and just bad mouth, and like his dad, Ivan's dad is just like laughing the whole time because no one talks to him like that. That's another thing is like Anora has like, she doesn't give a shit, dude.
Yeah, she's that rebel,
like,
right? Yeah,
she's like the person who's like, I don't get like I have. Like she has a spine. She's like, you're not just gonna fucking talk to me like this. And then she's like, Ivan, you're a little fucking bitch. Fucking grow up, you fucking boy. Which is probably something his dad wanted to say, but his dad just lets. He's just taking the back seat. He just doesn't care. He does his thing. He makes his money. Like he lets his wife manage everything. And like the fact that like, because he probably knows what the outcome would be. Like his wife's definitely like the domineering kind of bullying everything. And then she just like looks at his dad or his Ivan's mom and it's just like, you're a dumb bitch, kind of like shut the fuck up, like your son's a pussy, I hope you feel good about that, like you guys fucking suck, your family sucks. And she has that like that fucking New York gusto to her that just like puts them all in their place. And it's like like upset. I think at this point we can talk about the ending because again, like these Sean Baker, Mr. Shawnee boy loves to reel it in onto like a very humanizing ending, and the ending for this one goes into so Igor, which I was up until this point, meaning not the very ending, up until like the flight back or the flight to like the annulment, I guess you could say, like that part up to like where the parents come in. I was kind of wondering to myself, like why he was on the docket for best supporting actor. Because I didn't really think he had much involvement into the story other than being kind of like some comedic relief and being, you know,
I would argue he was kind of the one that sort of is that key to the humanization part of the character.
He absolutely is, but not until the annulment.
Well, no,
part.
because
that's what I'm saying. Like,
no, because throughout the entire movie, there's little bits and pieces that he sort of like during whenever they get back to the mansion, he asks questions about her, like what does her name mean?
What I'm saying is, this
and they
is
kind of sort of connect with like the grandparents because he like grew up at his grandparents' house and stuff like that. So throughout the movie, he like
that's after the annulment. I'm saying up until the point the parents come up, he's just kind of a henchman, and
I don't know. He's like super like he tries to be super nice and like talk to her the entire movie.
They're all
like
when they're
nice, like when they're in the car,
giving him the scarf. But I'm saying like I felt like it was ramped up a little bit more like as time goes on, and it really comes to fruition, or like that comes to a head, or it's brought up more towards the end where like you're saying, like they're talking in the mansion, like he gives her the drink, like a drink of vodka whenever they're in, just waiting in the service part of the private jet going coming back from or going to Vegas, right? And then ultimately like he's explaining to her, like she calls him a rapist and is like, hey, like you she's like, you have those rapey eyes, and then he's like, I'm not a rapist though, and like because she was like passing this judgment because it's a shitty situation, she's trying to process all like what's going on and like what she lost, and that is whenever at the end he ends up pilfering the wedding ring that Ivan had bought for Anora, which is, I'm assuming, a very fucking expensive ring.
Well, yeah, because when they first get her, like they essentially confiscate the ring. They tie her up, gag her, and basically, like essentially, they're offering her money to get this wedding annulled. yada, yada, yada. And throughout, up until that point, she is like, oh, we're husband and wife, we're in love, yada, yada, yada. And really up until that point, we've already talked about where they're like finally getting annulled and basically realizes Vanya is a little punk bitch and has no fucking spine, is when she finally realizes like, okay, he's a punk. I understand. Well, and also the mom like threatens financial ruin onto her and her family's entire lives. And
because she was like, I never signed a prenup, so like I'll go lawyer up and we'll see what happens. Which I'm surprised she didn't go through with that. I think she might. Well, no, she might not have had a case. I don't know. They could have probably made it look like it was like she was exploiting Ivan. Probably is what they would have done. There's probably some bullshit in there, but and like Igor like gets this ring. Had taken it from Toros and
hands it to her before she gets out. Yeah.
And the thing is, she makes comments about like how like this is a very you car and it's his grandma's. It's nothing crazy. It's like a fucking Pinto or some shit. And then she goes to like sleep with or have sex with Igor, which was initially I was like, why is this happening? This seems a little weird. But then again, we brought up that like sex for her is transactional, and what he has just done has been very nice to her. And I think giving her the ring was like, that was a lot of cash. And whether or not she was going to use it for the cash, I don't know, but like it could either be that or it was a memento of like a life that was like that left her, because again, she didn't give a shit about Ivan. I think, I don't know. That's the thing. It's part of me thinks that she gave a shit about Ivan and really was like disappointed that he didn't, stand up for her and what they were doing. But I think that she was definitely more in love with the lifestyle that was going to come with being with Ivan.
Well, yeah, there was really no true love here at stake.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been true love, but she didn't love her. With the idea.
It was like she was like a toy to him.
He's a child, yeah, and she was, and you could tell like they were pretty close in age. She was 23, he was 21. But as she's about to like have sex with Igor, she just starts crying because he tries to kiss her.
Well, it seems like they're actually like she's going through with the sex, right? There's like some pumping going.
There was like they were having sex. Like I'd say he was inside of her.
Yeah, I mean, so they were going at it, and then he shows.
Well, I was gonna say like what ends up happening, I think, is at that moment she like puts down her walls and she's able to like she's. I don't even think this goes like I want to be clear. I don't think this went into a love story of like Igor and Anora run off into the sunset, but it was definitely just she has a moment to be vulnerable in front of somebody and to just let everything out. Like about like the disappointment that was everything that just happened, like the position that she's in. Cause the thing is, if you think about it, like she's being very emotional. She's like temperamental and she's very angry throughout the whole entire movie, but she never had like that facade, the facade of, tough Brooklyn girl is never put down. She never like lets it down. And like at the very end is where you just see her let go, and she's like the last like week finally like is over and like all of it sets in, and that's like the moment she releases that with Igor, because Igor I think has just been nice to her. I mean, Igor was supportive of her, and then here she is like paying that back through sex. And I think it also kind of came, and he was, I think, trying to show again, he was like trying to kiss her, and that's what kind of like there was a real connection there. Yeah. Well, I think he was just trying to be like affectionate, and then she starts punching him and like kind of like is just mad. Not at him, I don't think necessarily. It's just like everything kind of crashes down on her in that moment. It was definitely she's just like dealing with it.
Yeah, I definitely saw it as like a final realization that like everything up until now she connects love and sex and stuff like that with just money and transaction. Love is transactional to her to at this point. But then the entire movie, this guy has been trying to be nice to her in some way, even though it's like the situation's silly, but like at a core, it's like this guy who there is a power imbalance in some way is still trying to be nice and kind to her. And then at the end of the movie does an even bigger and nicer gesture. So her thought is, well, normally I just have sex with this person.
Yeah.
Yvonne has given me $10,000 to be his girlfriend for a week, and all I had to do was open my legs. And now that I did that, and then he's trying to like show the humanity here is that he's trying to show that he thinks that maybe that there's a personal connection now that they're, you know, doing sex. And so he goes in for a kiss, and that's when she's like,
this isn't that.
Yeah. Like this
sure,
isn't that.
Like she doesn't. Well, I think the thing is too, I think she's very confused at that point too. Right. Like she's very, so, okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
And that basically she's always thought like she's really been reduced down to just being a product.
Yeah. And this is the one time I say the one time I'm assuming a lot of things, but this is the time in this movie and this like week or so we've been following her where, like he's trying to have maybe more than like there's a connection. Cause like also the power imbalance thing, I think it was also like she thought she was maybe above her station. Like she was the wife of Ivan and trying to like sway some shit around. And then Igor was always the one that was like, hey, like we're the help. Like, hey, we're the service, right? Like I'm a henchman and unfortunately you're a sex worker. No, unfortunately you're a sex worker to them. Like you are just like a toy to Ivan. And I'm just a thug for, you know, I'm security essentially. And I think she was wrestling with that too for a while. And Igor was trying to like comfort her throughout like their time together. And I think that and this is again, I just because I know we're running long on this episode, I think I already knew we were going to run long on this episode, but you know what? I'm fucking down with it. I think now in that light, this is just more credence to why like the Sean Baker ending says so fucking much. Like every ending that he has, I think maybe with the Florida Project being the only outlier, the other three, you could probably just go off of for a long time and just kind of like try to unpack what's going on. Okay, maybe he always goes for it. I don't think it's stuck as hard as it did in Anora with the other ones. I think Tangerine this is more like in line with Tangerine. I think Tangerine's is very dense and very like you can take a lot to it. And it just sums up so much of what has happened in the movie and what's going to go on. I think the Florida Project like fumbles it. I think Red Rocket, it just kind of is there because it's his style, because it's like, yeah, you can infer a lot about what's going to happen with Mikey going on in, you know, with Strawberry at the end, but like you kind of, you know, it's hope, right? It doesn't really say with Anora. There's just a lot going on with like why she's reacting this way, how she handles like these transactions, what is love to her.
Does she even know what love is? To be honest,
does she know what love is? Like, and again, maybe we're being a little fucking too.
Are we overcooking here?
I don't give a shit though. I don't give a shit though. I'm cooking just at the right temperature, and if you have a fucking problem with it, I guess you can go watch a lamer fucking movie.
$3.75 for 30 minutes, baby. Let's get it.
Yeah, and also, how about you like, comment, and subscribe, because we're still out here grinding on this movie. Anora was great. Anora was great. I think we've said what we need to say about it. I think we're going to be talking about this one for years to come, because I think it is. It's a fucking good movie, dude. It actually makes me think like, can you even top it? I know you. I don't think.
I think you can't top it because it depends on what your rankings are. Let's get to it, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say let's segue into it. I can just say I can go my 1, 2, 3, and you can go or 1 through 4, and then you can do your 1 through 4. For me, Anora's at the top.
Number 1, really? Okay,
it's number 1.
Okay,
and again, because I also bring in like watchability. I think the fact that this can appeal to a more general audience than the others puts it a cut above. And again, he just learned from every movie that he's put out, everything he's done. I think is like such a great culmination.
This one, really does feel like it's just
of everything he's learned. I'm not going to put anything above it, because I don't think anything can be above it, because it is the best parts of everything he's done before.
Okay.
This is where it gets a little hard.
I will say, so Anora is my number 2. I think Anora is
really going to do that?
I think Anora is his best
No, because I know you're gonna put it number
crafted
one.
film.
Oh man, we're about to get into an argument. I hope you're ready to edit a long
But my
ass episode.
favorite movie of his.
Hold up. Okay, we'll just do one more one. What's I almost feel like
You already
one
know
of
what
us
it
has
is.
to
It's the
get
Florida Project. Simon
It's the
Close.
Florida Project. Yeah.
That one
And
for
that's why
me,
I
I just
don't-
think has the most heart to it. Personally, it's the one I think I connect the most with. It's the one that I think has the most human moments. Anora, I think, is just the best crafted film he has. It's super entertaining. It's very funny. Technically crafted across the board throughout all his movies. I think this is the best one. I think even the music choices are like the best music choices he has in all his movies.
Yeah.
I think the performances are honestly the best. I think Mikey Madison fucking crushes it. I think all the supporting actors crush it. I even think Vanya, as annoying as he is, kills it. He's perfect for that role. He's a little piece of shit. I wanted to punch him the entire movie, but that was his fucking role, and I think he crushed it. Florida Project, again, is just it feels so much to me, and I cry at the end every time. I love that movie.
I mean, looking on it, I guess ours aren't too different because I think I could probably. So I think I'd be remiss to not put Florida Project to number 2 because I do agree on the heart. I just really did not like the ending. I thought it was I almost took away.
It almost takes away from it.
It almost takes it away. Like I just kind of wanted to end with Mooney talking to her friend, like, don't go to the Disney. Because also, what fucking kids are able to just run into Disneyland? You're telling me these kids tricked their way into getting into Disneyland? They fucking didn't.
It could also be their imagination.
That mouse, I guess it could, but I still don't think it was done that well. And maybe I'm putting too much credence. You're making me, the way you're ranking it now is like, you're making me think maybe I put too much credence in that ending, but it's something I really look forward to.
Brother, it's your ranking. It's fine.
Well, no, I do think that, like, looking at it, Florida Project's number 2 for me. I think I'm putting Tangerine I'm putting Tangerine at 3 and I'm putting Red Rocket at 4. I say this meaning like we're talking about the best winner here. I think all 4 of these are really, really fucking good. And this is where I want you to say the rest of yours. I'm pretty sure yours is probably the same.
I think
I fucking love you, dog. Look at this shit.
I think Red Rocket for me is just like the character is just the biggest piece of shit out of all these movies, and I like him the least, even though he was kind of charismatic. I don't mind, like, Simon Rex, I thought killed it. But
I think all the performance are. I think Tangerine just has that, like, that heart we're talking about.
It's the heart at the end that I really,
I think the very end, it does so much. Because again, I think these both are kind of on par. Mm-hmm. But the thing that really gets it going for me is just like at the end. Also, production wise, I don't want to go into this because this will be like another hour. Mm-hmm. But like, this dude takes like shoestring fucking budgets and just fucking punches above his weight.
Does Anora feel like a $6 million budget movie now? Now that you've watched it, right? Yeah.
It feels so much more.
That's what he does. He makes these small,
even Tangerine. We're talking about like Sean on an iPhone 5S. And yeah, there's obviously differences, but it feels like a professional movie. It doesn't feel, that's what I'm saying. Like, this it punched above its weight. It was definitely doing rounds with movies that definitely put a lot more resources into it. And yeah, like all of them, he just uses what he has really well. And I respect the fuck out of that dude. He wants to just get the product, the best product. Because I'm in my financial phase. I love finance. So I start thinking about that. Like, how did you do this on $6 million fucking dollars, Lenora? What? Yeah. I spent more in fucking. I mean, every movie usually spends a lot in marketing. Like, they don't talk about it, but like, spent more on marketing than the movie. Yeah, and I would say like with. Yeah, I mean, Red Rocket, I want to go into the next segment, which is us ranking our monthlies. And the way, like, the monthly, this yearly challenge of like these, director a month. And what I'll say to start that off is that with the way I kind of do this, we usually set up at least, I think we've been trying for 3, depending on their filmography, but definitely 2. And that's been like their earliest professional to like their latest, and kind of comparing where they've come. And I think I going to start trying to put a third, like an in between. I think that's what we've been doing, like 3. Your earliest, something in between to like cut it, and then an ender. Because like with Denny, it was 32nd, August 32nd on Earth, which was his first one, and then Incendies in the middle, and then I think I had already watched Dune, but we had, you know, something like very current to see like to check in on where they're at, like how kind of like what we do with Sean, just to see like, did they learn from this? What did they do? Like what are their tropes, or not tropes, but like what are their go-tos, like their kind of watermarks that they default to, or like to have, like their style, really, to define a style. So I say all this because 3 is the minimum. If I do more than 3, that's a good sign, because it means I wanted to watch it. You know, we're talking about even though he only has like really 4 films, there was a part where I was like, I probably will just watch Anora and we'll call it. But then I was so impressed by Anora and the other movies, I was like, I'm just going to grind out Red Rocket tonight before some damn movies. And I think that's a cut above. So I'm going to give my rankings on so far on these directors. And the way I want to do it is I want to do like S through F. So, right, like S being the top tier, F being the yikers. That's not really good. You know, these are all opinions too. These are not objective. So just, so everyone knows S, A, B, C, D, F. 6 categories. There's going to be 12 directors, and we're only going to put no more than 2 directors in any one spot. Right. So no, like we can't just like stack them all up and be like, oh yeah, they're all S tier or A tier or something like that. Which also brings to the point that someone's probably going to get put into the F tier. That's like really good, but we just liked the other ones better. This isn't like this is just like an opinion for the year. I just want to make that clear. So
and it's obviously going to shift every month, because we're going to do this at the end of each episode.
Well, yeah, we'll do each, because we're trying to do each 2 episodes, 2 episodes of this, but a month, but each director episode where we're exploring these directors, we'll do it. So
what are our 3?
For mine, all right. So
start
you can't spell
start with
Sean
number
without
3.
S. I started from the top.
Okay, whatever. We already heard it, but yeah,
whatever. Yeah. So you can't spell Sean without S.
Okay.
So Sean is in the S tier.
Okay.
I'm going to put David Lynch and give him a D. And I'm going to put Denny. Where do you think I'm going to put Denny?
If I think you're going to put him at A, Denny? But I think he deserves an S. And it'd be wild.
I'm going to put Denny in an A. Okay. That's where I've been thinking about this since last night. I went to sleep ranking these 3. So I'm going to explain it. I think Sean, nothing but bangers, dude. The only complaint I have is that he has style that's kind of predictable, but I still fucking love it. This dude knows how to make it.
It is a good style, yeah.
The one thing with Denny, which he has a lot more, he has way more films than Sean does, which also means that there's some inconsistencies in there, and I still complain. I honestly, no matter how good Dune is, Dune honestly feels like a Marvel movie. Like it's getting to that part. Like I think it's not a Marvel movie, and like it's not, I don't want to say it's not challenging Denny. I just think it's like, I don't know. I've already read Dune so many times where I'm like, I'm just glad that this is like a competent Dune movie. You know what I mean? It's not like, but I compare the other ones.
I think that's a compliment to him, though.
It is absolutely a compliment to him.
Similar to Blade Runner 2049 for me as well.
But I'm going back to Incendies, and I liked Incendies quite a bit. I was thinking about it last night. He is suffering from, I think he gets a little too high on his supply. I think that this is the same thing I would say about the Wachowskis when it came to The Matrix. Matrix 1, fucking awesome. It's a great action movie, and it has a really cool philosophical kind of like thing.
I watched that recently.
Are we in the Matrix? Yeah. Are we in the Matrix? Is everything real? All this, it's over the top. It's really well done. The Wachowskis killed it. Then you go to Matrix Reloaded, and they went in the fucking opposite direction. They were like, instead of making a good action film, with, you know, this philosophical tinge to it, right? Like, so they went like the opposite, because I think that was the one with the architect, right? I think it was maybe that was Revolution, I don't know, but they start getting like so in the weeds with trying to be like this. It has to have this like crazy philosophical story. It has to have this, like, you know, we have to keep cashing into like the opposite part, like this, like, you know, is it real? Is it fake? Like, it has to be like this. If it didn't come from Plato's Republic, I don't fucking want it in the story. It almost felt like, and that was a point where like I do feel like the action sacrificed, because there's the fucking, all the agents are fighting Neo, and he's just like, it's like 20 minutes. I remember as a kid, I got tired of it watching it in the theaters. So I say this because Incendies did not do that, but I felt like the whole, like, it's weird. I liked it, but I didn't. I liked it because I thought the story and like the journey was cool. But then when it's like, oh, like her son, you know, raped her multiple times throughout life, and then she got pregnant with his kids, and like his kids are there, and she writes the two. I was like, yeah, I think you're getting a little too in on yourself on this.
It was effective for me. I loved it.
I saw it was ineffective. It was kind of a cool, like, it was a cool twist, but I don't know. I felt like it was like a twist for the sake of a twist, kind of. I don't know. And the thing is, I need to go watch Prisoners.
That one, I think, as a parent, you need to watch now. Yeah,
I think I'll watch Prisoners, and that might, and we'll go on to the next part, because David Lynch, I think, is the hot topic here that people are going to be maybe a little upset with. David Lynch is not a director that I'm going to like. I'm not really into surreal stuff. I just want a nice story. I want like drama. I want action. I'm not really into like a lot of surrealist kind of cinema.
Not yet.
Not yet. I bounced off of, again, Twin Peaks so hard. I bounced off of Eraserhead. And here's why I say this is because I didn't watch the third one, and I still think that one is important because it's probably his most popular or most famous, at least from what I've seen. That is Mulholland Drive. And I think that any of these we can go back and watch, but I definitely think whenever we start talking like in the D and F category, we kind of do owe it, especially with some of these, to give it another watch to see, like another watch to see if it still feels the same. And I do feel like I need to watch at least Mulholland Drive
to
like really feel and see, you know, the accomplishment. Cause Dune, I don't know, his version of Dune is more like cheeky and funny than it is good. And the other two, I bounced off of. So that's where I'm at with
I think we should definitely go back. I think at the time we were both like in a weird busy moment, and it was just kind of hard to keep up with it.
Get busier, so we're gonna try to give ourselves a little bit of leniency on some of this. So I'm about to be moving and stuff like that.
No disrespect to David Lynch. I think both of us right now are just not really ready for that genre. So we're gonna work within our frame here. So I'll go to my list. It's similar. I'll put David Lynch right now. I'll just do it right. I'll put him at an F for me right now.
Really? Okay.
He can move up or down at any time. Who knows? For me, I think I have to put Denis at an S. I think just because of
I don't hate on it. We glazed him. Like
I'm a big Denis fan. I think he just has the bigger, obviously, filmography. He has more movies. I think he has more variety, even though there is that style he has. I just love Dune so much. Sicario's good. Arrival is one of my favorite sci-fi films of the last decade plus. That one, I think, it might be my favorite Denis movie right now. I kind of want to just rewatch it again tonight, to be honest, just because I love it so much.
Well, and that was one I didn't get to watch whenever we did I didn't even watch the newest, like the third one, because like the newest one, because I've watched Dune 1 and 2 so many times.
Yeah,
but I wanted to get back and watch Arrival.
But and Incendies, the first time I watched it, I was hooked on it pretty quickly, and I enjoy it. I even think August 32nd on Earth, I think, was still pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it was definitely.
Yeah. Prisoners, I think, is an excellent movie, but it's a movie that I don't really want to watch all that often because it's just too fucking dark and ugh.
I stumbled upon like on the r/movies, I think a few weeks back, they someone said, it was like, what's a great movie that you'll only ever watch once?
Prisoners
And
probably shows up,
people
right?
kept putting up Prisoners. They were like, yeah, I'll only watch it once. I'm not gonna
I
watch
think
it
this is
more.
also one of Deacon's finest work, to be honest, is Prisoners. Some of the shots in this movie are insane. And so like, he gets to work with these guys that I just like. Deakins is one of my favorites, as most people that are into cinematography. He just has such an eye, and his like lighting techniques are insane. But yeah, I think I had to put Denis at an S. Similar to Sean, I think it's just they're the best at what they do. Denis, I think, is a master at the sci-fi genre right now. I think nobody can touch him right now in the current modern time. I don't think anybody has a better eye than him. Dune and Dune Part 2 look so fucking good. Blade Runner is so fucking sexy. You
actually say that. I'm going to cut you off a little bit. You say that. I do not want to go into it now because I do want to watch this. But I saw your Mickey 17 review on Letterboxd. So the fact that you're coming out real hard saying that like no one can touch him, and you said it just kind of gives him more credence where you're like, I do kind of agree.
Mickey 17
watch
fucking
Mickey
sucks.
17. Where did you watch it? Just in theaters?
IMAX.
Okay. I want to watch it soon. I think it might be coming to Apple or something. I'll rent it because maybe we can do the next episode on that.
I think that's it's a hot take right now. I think
actually let's go ahead and make the next episode on Mickey 17. We'll go into that like more off camera because like if it's in theater, I'm on leave, so I can probably go either watch it there or I'll watch it on streaming.
And of course, if you don't know
you
Mickey
say
17,
that, and I do agree with you fully. Like I don't think anyone can touch Denny. No. When it comes to
not even close
to sci-fi right now,
I'm saying I think he's in a whole another level than anybody else.
I don't think I can. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that part. Like no one can touch his ass when it comes to that. And there are more. I really do want to put him at an S. I know there's 2 slots. Mm-hmm. I also do agree
it can move,
that like,
baby.
I need to watch. It can move. I will say this. I am. With a degree of confidence, I do not see myself moving Sean.
That's okay.
I will say like I'm locked in right now on Sean. Well, no, and ours don't have to agree, right?
Yeah,
the only
obviously.
time we're gonna hash this out whenever we make the official Someday Movies Directors of 2025 list, right? We'll hash it out. Mm-hmm. But I think right now for me, Sean is not moving anywhere, and I'm afraid that we're gonna watch something where, fuck. Okay. I'm going to put both of them in S, but if either of them are moving, Denny's moving down because I cannot see myself moving.
Just keep
Sean.
him where he is, buddy. You can move him up later.
This is not
static.
Yeah, it's just because the thing is like, man, Arrival and Sicario are so fucking like Arrival.
He has so many bangers, dude.
He has just so many fucking bangers, dude.
And they're
so I'm
like,
and I know I'm going to watch that this year because that's another thing. I'm going to keep watching other movies too. Yeah. I do want to get around to watching Denny. I just think for going into and watching these directors, I just want to pick like a static like 3. Yeah, hopefully. And then just like, these are the ones we're going to judge them on. Mm-hmm. Here's what we're going to go with. And then I kind of added in Red Rocket because I was I enjoyed the other 3 so much. And that's why I couldn't give a more glowing compliment to a director other than I wanted to watch your fucking movies. Right. So that's like the best compliment you can get is I wanted more of it.
So I'm putting Sean Baker at A. I'm just reversing yours. He is probably, I would say, my favorite director right now because of the themes that he does. The style he does is like up my alley. It's like what I love. It's what is sort of in my mind as somebody that wants to make movies is like this style. Like he is doing what I want to do on screen, but he just obviously is doing it. And he does it with these micro budgets, which Denis is like the flip side, right? He has bigger budgets, but in the world of sci-fi, Denis honestly has small budgets, but he makes all his movies humongous looking. Yeah, and that's why I just respect Denis so much because he does so much with so little in his world, while Sean's doing similar in his world where he's doing these lower budget, micro budget, independent movies about like real life, naturalistic looking. And I think he truly right now as a modern director is a master at that. I think the 4 films that we watched, Denny? I think Sean Baker, my bad.
Oh, with Sean. Yeah.
The 4 that we watched, I think are I have really not a ton of complaints about them. For me, though, the reason I like Denis more is because I think he's just done more of a variety. I want to see Sean maybe in a different world to see sort of what he can do. But I think what he does now, he's the best at.
I want to go ahead and also put this out there because whenever I was kind of doing my rankings in my head last night, something that I kept popping up, I don't mean this in a bad way, to Denny. I think we need more Sean Bakers, and I think we do have more Denny's. I don't think we get what Denny does, or I don't think we always get exactly what Denny does, but like Sean is a workhorse. Like when you're watching, like when I was watching Red Rocket and then like Anora, and you start seeing in the credits these lean budget, like you start to see where like Sean, again, I think is one of the biggest things. Like he won best editing because he was the editor, right? Like he edits, he directs, he did the casting, I think on Tangerine and on Red Rocket. Like he is very involved.
Well, he got best original screenplay too.
Like, and then he writes, like he's doing a lot more where like he still has his team. And I also want to give props to his team, right? Like I don't know all your names. You guys are there. Thank you for what you're doing, and you're enabling these directors to like knock them out. Right.
Shout out to Neon and like A24 of the worlds too, like letting these movies come out and giving them budgets or however you're picking them up later or whatever. Like Florida Project was an A24 film. Red Rocket was A24. It's
mostly production. Yeah, it's mostly like, or not. I think there's some production, but it's definitely more in also
like distribution and shit.
Distribution. So the thing also is with Denny, I think Denny is great in doing what he's doing, but he has a lot of talent around him. And if you compare apples to apples, like when you're talking like casts, when you're talking about like all this, bro, Sean's like using anyone out there. Like Willem Dafoe was a splurge for him. Yeah. Like Mikey Madison is like a splurge. Like he's
not really.
Like
Mikey's like really, she has no roles outside of Scream.
Compared to like the other,
obviously,
to the other,
like the actresses from Tangerine are both just like,
just like,
I'm pretty sure the one
and like how cool
was the
is
first
that
nominated transgender like actress. Like whatever the award thing.
You're such a good director that you can find talent like that just fits like in that scenario, right? This actress fits my role perfectly, isn't a traditional actress. So guess what? I'm going to make you a traditional actress, or not even traditional. I'm going to make you an actress. We'll work through this. Yeah. There has to be like a degree of patience that goes into like taking someone like that.
Yeah.
And making them flourish, not even just do well. Cause I'll tell you what, I bring up the Boyhood comparison because like Boyhood's really good in the beginning. And the older that fucking kid gets, and a lot of those other actors that aren't like
Ethan Hawke kills
Ethan
it.
Hawke. Yeah. Like Ethan Hawke and
I always forget her name because she's awesome.
Yeah. It's
Patricia Arquette.
Yeah. You start to see as that movie goes on, like Patricia Arquette and Ethan Hawke are like carrying these scenes.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's like, it's not easy to find talent. It's not easy to direct talent. And also Boyhood was over like 10 years. Like I get the problems that are probably in there, but like you're picking up people that probably are not, maybe they're trained actors and actresses, right? But like it's not their main thing. And Sean, like that takes, again, with his involvement in the production of these movies and the shoestring budgets, like again, punching above his weight is the best way I can say. And that's why like I look at Denny has a lot of talent around him, where I would say like he needs to give more credit. Like we need to give more credit to, like you brought up his cinematographer, where it's like they cook and like he is kind of basking in their shadow. Not all the time. He's obviously involved, but like Sean is out here Sean's out here with an iPhone 13 on his next one, not even the 17. His next one's gonna be on 13 and he's gonna like crush it. And like there's a degree of, bro, that's
I just want to see a little bit more from him. Yeah, that's it. Like,
I do
love
too.
the guy.
I
think he's amazing.
I want to see something kind of outside of his normal genre. Maybe still drama, but like I also don't want him to do sci-fi. I want him to just do something a little. We'll just see what happens. But I think with Denny, I think that's why I'm going to keep Sean at like a solid S. I will actually keep talk about this more. I'm going to keep Denny at an A. Because I think it's just like, I've rambled on too long about it now.
Let's get to the next.
This is gonna be a monthly thing we bring up. The next thing we're gonna do is the next director. So I'll go ahead and make my recommendation because I was talking about the Baker ending, right? Like the Baker outro, that whole shot. And there's only one other movie that I can think of that does it similarly, and I think does it really well like really fucking gets me every time I watch it, and I want to watch this movie again. So with that being said, do you want to take a guess at what movie I'm referencing right now?
I truly have no idea.
Just think on it. Like, just really think about like
you're
that.
Putting me under the. You're putting too much pressure on me right now. I have to pee again.
I'm going to try to give you a hint. I don't think you'll get it. I honestly don't, but I think there's a chance you could. There's a non-zero chance, and I think that like. Right, we're talking about an ending that's like very humanizing or like sums up the story so well, and it's usually just like a long take, a long like just straight on shot, like, you know, it just like, and then it abruptly ends, or just like, you know, we'll say like cooks out. What do you think what movie I might be referencing?
Is it a movie that we've watched together?
We've never watched it together.
And have I seen it?
You've definitely seen it. 100%.
Brother, don't do this to me.
I could narrow it down for you.
No, just tell me.
Easily.
I gotta
call me by your name.
Oh God, you want to do Luca?
Yeah. So I was gonna throw Luca Guadagnino.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't know why I didn't honestly pick that up because it's like one of my favorite shots.
Because like the ending is just Timmy just staring into the fireplace.
Yeah.
Kind of coming, and then like the scene with his dad, like kind of explaining everything to him.
Well, we'll do Luca this next month, but you have to promise me the following month we have to do a female director.
No, what was your suggestion?
I was going to do Penny Marshall just because it was. I just looked up like popular like female directors.
Well, we can do this one too, unless you're wanting an excuse to watch Call Me by Your Name.
She did Big, the Tom Hanks movie. She did A League of Their Own, which was another Tom Hanks movie that like baseball.
Hocus.
I think she's just in that. She did Jumpin' Jack Flash with Whoopi Goldberg. She did Big with Tom Hanks. Awakenings is a movie with Robert De Niro and Robin Williams.
Okay. So she's got a little bit of
The Preacher's Wife, a Denzel and Whitney Houston movie, The Renaissance
Riding
Man.
Cars with Boys I've heard of.
Mm-hmm. That's a Drew Barrymore flick with Steve Zahn.
So I almost feel like we should.
I'm just trying to be diverse on this channel. Okay, we gotta give some shine.
Be diverse too. The reason why is, and here's why I'll say, I think this is probably one that we should. Maybe we'll put Luca after it.
No, I want to do Luca now because I do want to watch Queer. So
that's the thing. The next part is like, if we want to do that, we have to figure out the three movies we want to watch. But I was going to say, I've just never watched anything by
Luca
Marshall or Penny Marshall. So I say that as like, this would be a completely new immersion for me on it. I haven't watched any of these, not even Big.
I've seen Big. I love Big. That's the only one I've seen.
A lot of people love Big. So if we do Luca, what three are we doing? What are the?
So we have to do.
Switch by.
I feel like we have to do Challengers, to be honest.
Well, one of the reasons why I haven't watched Challengers yet, so that'll be the latest one.
I feel like I would really. I always want to do
Protagonists. I was going to do Protagonists, Call Me by Your Name, and Challengers. That was the original three I was going to do.
So Call Me by Your Name is probably like his biggest one up until now.
Yeah.
And it is one of my top 5 movies of all time.
Yeah. I think like, because the Protagonists I've heard about, that's the one with Tilda Swinton. I don't really know much about it.
I always want to do the debut, even though we didn't do it with technically Sean.
That would be his debut. Like that would be the debut.
So I think let's fit that in. Let's do that. So let's do Call Me by Your Name and Challengers, and then we can fit anything else. I would suggest you watch Bones and All personally.
Well, so again, like we usually do his debut, which would be the Protagonist. So that's got to be in there.
Yeah, the Protagonist. Okay.
I think the latest one
would be Challengers.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, Queer I think is the latest one.
They came out in the same year.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Damn,
technically.
he released 2 in 1 year? Shit.
Yeah, Challengers released at the beginning of the year, and then Queer released later on in the year.
Well, I think for me, because you've already watched Challengers, you could either rewatch it or watch Queer.
I've been wanting to rewatch it because it didn't get nominated and it triggered me, so I was going to rewatch it.
Especially with our controversies we were talking about. So yeah, we'll go with the protagonists has to be in there, Challengers, and I'm going to watch Call Me by Your Name. And then again, if I'm wanting more, I'll probably try to fit in either Queer or I'll probably try to fit. I'm not going to watch Suspiria again.
That's
not
a
fucking commitment.
Yeah.
I'm
going to try and fit in Queer.
I'll try to probably fit in Queer. Those would be the 4. I think I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we also watched Suspiria, so we can kind of go off that too.
So yeah, we'll do Luca first, and then we'll move on, and we'll do Penny the next month.
Yeah, we'll do Penny.
That up.
That was a good pick. I like that one because like that's one where I'm like I have nothing to. This would be a first experience for me on.
Yep,
fucking all of it.
And guys, that's really what I truly want this show to be, is a learning experience for both of us, while we're also just 2 best friends that are just wanting to talk shit about movies, talk about movies. Yes. I always described our podcast as like that moment after the movies, you're walking down the hallway, you're waiting until you get to your car. And then you finally start talking about the movie. That's what this podcast is.
And I guess just to give a little bit, that's what we used to do. Like we would watch the movie, we would leave. I specifically remember going to like Marietta and doing this because I had that fucking popcorn bucket. We'd go there. We wouldn't say anything to each other from the moment that the movie ended all the way until we got to the car. And as soon as we got to the car, before we even got into the car, we would look at each other, and then at the same time, we would say whether we liked it or not. And then on the car ride back, which this is like a 30-minute car ride usually, back from Marietta to there, or it doesn't matter. It's agnostic to the theater. We would go to other places, but we would then talk about it on the drive back, and then probably the rest of the night. So and this is pretty much us doing that, really. But yeah, that's where I'm at with this. So if you want to kind of watch this isn't going to be, this is for next month's director episode. We're going to do it with Luca. We're going to watch, again, Challengers, the protagonists, and Call Me By Your Name. And then probably going to try to fit in Queer. So if y'all want to follow with us, you can do that. You can also just watch whichever movies you want, because we'll probably be referenced to Suspiria. He has a huge filmography. And then I will say, I already know that the next episode we're going to put out is going to be on for this month, or actually be the beginning of April. Yeah, because this will be, if this goes up, or no, will this be the beginning? This will be the beginning of April, won't it?
So this is going up technically the 30th. It's going
this
up.
This one will be? No, the 26th, right?
26th, yeah.
Yeah, so this lines up fucking perfectly. Are we starting to get okay at podcasting?
I think so.
It's taking long enough. But yeah, so if this goes up on the 26th, this will be the last pod or the Someday Movies for March. And then we'll have another one in 2 weeks. So it'll go up to April 9th. That episode is going to be on Mickey 17. And then April 23rd will be on
Luca Guadagnino.
Yeah, Luca Guadagnino. So we'll go into that. And we'll have our director's episode on that. So I don't really have much for you guys. Thank you again. If you made it to this point, if you haven't liked, comment, and subscribed, why did you even come to this point?
Yeah, idiot.
We're 2 hours into this on the recording. Yeah, if you made it to this point, you haven't done that, like get it. Come on.
I'm sitting here moving and grooving. I gotta.
So anyway, I'm not gonna make him suffer anymore. Thank you all. We appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good things. Have a great rest of your week.
Comment down below, guys. What director's next? Come on.
And give us suggestions for directors, and we hope that, just thank you. Bye.
Bye.